Hi, it's Gareth here from Heartfelt Horsemanship. Jamie Lynn is with Alamo, a Frisian that's in training with us at the moment. We're going to be talking about desensitizing in this video. You'll see Jamie's not going straight to desensitizing. She's going to be working on a few relaxation techniques using rhythmic pressure. We see a lot of people misunderstand that natural horsemanship is all about desensitizing. Desensitizing is a part of it. It builds trust and confidence in a horse, but we need language in place before we can start addressing desensitizing. So we have another video based on rhythmic pressure in the same module, and that's basically what Jamie's running through now. Just make sure it's all in place before she starts dealing with desensitizing. Desensitizing for the sake of desensitizing doesn't make more of a partner for the horse. If we combine it with communication, we're building a relationship with a horse where a horse looks to us when they get scared. Every new thing that we introduce to them through communication, that this is going to be okay, makes them respect us a little more and trust us a little more. It's not just about finding the next scary thing and getting them over it, flooding them to the point that they're not scared of anything. We balance sensitizing them and desensitizing them, because sensitizing is what makes a horse light to our touch and our request. Desensitizing is what is stopping them overreacting to a stimulus. So because we use the rope so much in our communication, desensitizing them to the rope is a very important aspect. You'll notice that Jamie uses rhythm while she's desensitizing the horse to the rope. A break in that rhythm shows a release. In other words, it said that the horse is doing the right thing. So if you're going there and you don't have any rhythm, the space between, let's say, the third and the fifth time you swing the rope and the horse is moving and you release, you told the horse they're doing the right thing by running around when you throw the rope at them. Now, Alamo's been with us for a couple months, so he should be pretty good with this. But we do have some other videos on the YouTube channel which show us getting a more nervous horse that hasn't been through as much of our training, so you can see what it might look like with your horse. Even when Jamie's using the fly spray, she's spraying with rhythm. The horse stands, she takes off the pressure. Once again, I reiterate, both sides of the horse. You don't avoid one side because the horse gets scared, you get them through it. We don't avoid the things the horse is scared of, we work them through their fear. Every now and again, Jamie will go to a disengagement, make sure the horse is with her. And make sure his worry cup is not filling. If you don't understand what I mean by the worry cup, it will be in our written material. Horses have a capacity for worry, and that capacity for worry just keeps filling until they disengage and think. They stay in flight mode even if they haven't run away. The minute there's a concerning stimulus. Okay, Jamie's going to work with the saber-tooth plastic bag. As you can see, we've been through all of this. The Alamo's head still went up there. But if you stand still when it's flapping around, Jamie takes it away. Jamie's focus is very important here. She's not facing the horse to tell him what to do. She's just swinging around the packet like it means nothing. So we're waiting for him to relax, and then we'll take off the pressure. Now there's different stages of what we will release on with the desensitizing. Initially we'll just release when the horse stands still. This is what we refer to as tolerance. The horse is tolerating it, then they stand still. What we eventually want to work towards is the horse accepting it, so they'll be calm with a scary stimulus. The difference between acceptance and tolerance is if a horse tolerates something, there's conditions. It's like if all is right in the world, they'll tolerate that scary packet. But if they're in a new environment and maybe the wind's not blowing in quite the right direction, they're going to run from it. With acceptance, they always accept that that is not a scary object. So there, Alamo moved away, and Jamie only stopped waving the packet when he stood still. If Jamie had stopped waving the packet because he moved away, the horse learned that the right thing to do is move away. It's very important that our focus is not at the horse when we are waving a stimulus, because that is driving. If we're looking at the horse, then we are driving them. Jamie, would you like to send them out and show how that same stimulus with focus can mean something? So if Jamie now looks where she wants the horse to go and lifts and leads it, that stimulus means moves away from it. When she's not looking at the horse, okay, so there's, now it means something. This is why it's not a great thing just to desensitize a horse, because then you can't communicate a movement to a horse. They need to understand the difference between when we are focusing in a direction and we are just waving around with no meaning. See, Jamie's flapping it about exactly the same rhythm and motion. The only difference is where she's looking and the fact that she hasn't introduced the other two phases of the send. Horses are very perceptive to body language, far more perceptive than we are. It's very difficult to get people to believe that focus matters to a horse. This is the clearest demonstration you can find. Okay, now he's moving off even though Jamie's not focusing at him. Jamie will stick with him until he stands and then take off the stimulus. And there's having a lick and chew. Now just like with rhythmic pressure, steady pressure, we want to be able to desensitize a horse in any area. So if we were standing behind the horse and flapping it about, they would not move off from that stimulus. So Jamie's working in zone 2 at the moment. She walked forward, zone 3, so he's a little bit goosey in zone 3. Zone 3 is where we ride. We do not want a horse goosey in zone 3. And this has been one of the things that we've worked on with Alamo. He has been very overreactive to stimulus in zone 3. So there, the minute he stood still, Jamie took off the pressure. Now we wouldn't accept that as being the end product, but right now we're rewarding the slightest try. What we're going to build towards is him standing still and getting the head down, ears forward and relaxed, and breathing properly. You won't be able to pick it up on the video, but we can see right now that Alamo is kind of holding his breath as soon as Jamie gets into zone 3. Noticing those little differences is what separates an average horseman and a top horseman. Noticing how your horse responds to different stimulus. Great horsemen notice everything. Now his eyes softened. He hasn't quite gone back to normal breathing yet, but he's certainly softened a little. Now is a great time to give him some dwell time. Let him think about it before we pick up again. Rushing from one thing to the next, even on the most calm horse, rushing from one thing to the next is going to make an anxious horse. There's his eyes softening, his head coming down. You'll notice this doesn't happen quickly. The relaxation and the horse processing what it's learning isn't a push button effect. We sometimes have to wait for ages. Knowing how long to wait comes with time, and it's different with every horse. So Alamo standing still, his ears are pinned, his eyes aren't too hard. Right? And he's thinking about turning his nose towards Jamie, which would mean a higher level of acceptance. He's not trying to evade the scary stimulus. Okay. So the stamping there is just, he's got a few flies bugging him. It's a hot summer's day. And Jamie gave the release there because his flank relaxed. So the muscles were taut, and as soon as she saw the flank soften, she gave a release. And Jamie will move him around a bit, maybe do some disengagements, get the horse back with her. With Alamo, the disengagement releases him, well, gives him a great relaxation. So given his tendency to tighten up, will often go back to the thing that he knows relaxes him. Now, as I said in one of the earlier videos, we look for 1% improvement in every session. So this level of tolerance that we're seeing with Alamo, and every now and again acceptance, like that there with him turning towards Jamie, we'll accept it, but we'll aim to keep getting it better on every session. If he moves off or tries to push Jamie onto a different eye, Jamie will keep it going. Until he stands still. Now she found a good spot to release there, and she gave a lick and chew, but he has successfully put onto his safer eye in his perception. So we will go back and get it better on that eye. Yeah, we're going to give him the reward that slightest try, and then go back. It's very important to understand that it's not about not letting the horse win. We want our horses to win. The mentality that we never let the horse win goes back to a time when conquering the beast was the mentality. We want to be partners with our horses, and we want them to win. But how we want them to win is in a partnership with us. So we don't release on a brace that's going to have them learn something wrong, but we're doing it with the spirit of having them feel like winners. If we're on the same team as a horse, we don't want them to be the loser. There's a very nice tip of the nose towards Jamie while she's flapping that about. He's not evading or trying to push her onto the other eye, he just wants to, leaning into her. And there's nothing wrong with giving your horse a nice rub. Remember when we rub our horses in our dwell time, we want to try and make it something really pleasant. Try and make it feel like he felt when his mother cleaned him off. It's not a rough head noogie. We want to make them feel pleasant how they groom each other. What we have the opportunity of doing here is, in all the exercises, when we're doing the dwell time and we get to give them a rub, we have the opportunity to build bond. A lot of people ask how to fix a horse that's herd bound. The simple answer is you don't fix a horse that's herd bound. They are herd bound by their nature. They are gregarious animals, they live in a herd, their safety is in a herd. What we need to do is have them feel like we're part of that herd. Then they won't mind going out with us, separate from the rest of the herd. So all these tools, this communication on the ground, desensitizing, and the rubs which constitute allo grooming like they do to each other, that builds a bond that says you're part of my herd. So when you're working on desensitizing, make sure you can still use whatever stimulus you're using as a way of driving with rhythm. So when your focus comes up and you're focusing on doing something, the horse should move away from the stimulus. When you take off that pressure of your eyes and focus elsewhere, the horse should just stand. If you desensitize a horse to, for example, a carrot stick, to the point that you can no longer move them, you need to resensitize the horse and work on your focus. I'm sure everyone noticed how much Alamo's head came down there. Remember, if a horse's head comes down, it's coming off adrenaline. A horse running around with its head up in the air is a horse pumping on adrenaline. It is not a positive thing. It does not mean the horse is engaged. It means the horse is terrified. I know many people look at a horse running around with its head high in the air and big flashy movements. It's not necessarily, might look attractive, but it's normally as a result of fear. Jamie's going to introduce Alamo to the top. As you're watching, and notice how much space Jamie is giving him to investigate on his own. One of the big things we see people struggle with is the concept of, well, a horse is not scared of that top when it's in their paddock on their own, but when I ride past it, they bolt from it. The reason for that is when we're on their back, the horse understands that we restrain their responses. If they're on their own, they can get up to 5 meters and gauge their level, their ability to flee from danger. If suddenly that top opens up and has fangs and tries to eat them, they can get away. But when we're on their back, they kind of calculate, well, this guy's going to slow me down this much and probably get in my way. I'm going to bolt way before them. So what Jamie is doing now on the long, loose lead, she's not dragging the horse's nose to the scary stimulus. She's letting him investigate it on his own terms. But in a partnership frame of mind. Now that opens up, and even when Jamie's touching it to him, she still has a sense of rhythm. Now remembering, we aim for 1% improvement in every session, but we do want to keep pushing the boundaries. Like we said before, if you always do the same thing and never get anything anywhere new, there's nothing interesting for the horse. Get creative. We're never going to be able to teach you everything that might come up. So get creative with what could possibly come across your horse's path. Get silly. Have fun with your horse. You will never have to think about catching your horse again if your horse is actually intrigued by what it's going to do every day. You're going to get to the gate in the morning and your horse is waiting there thinking, what are we going to do today? That's the frame of mind we want to see from the horses. Rather than thinking about catching a horse, having your horse come find you is the best feeling in the world. The nice thing with desensitizing is once you get there, and this is why we only do desensitizing after the driving with rhythmic pressure, after the steady pressure, is that now we can start combining. Jamie's now sending Alamo over the top. We can combine all the things we did. Have him stand there. Notice how Jamie's keeping her feet still. Remember, in the horse world, he who moves their feet first loses. So Jamie is showing her leadership by moving Alamo around with her feet staying still. So now she's going to aim to have him stop with his feet on the top. There we go. Like we discussed in Monkey's video about being specific about where you can put the feet. You can do it from the ground or from under the saddle. No matter how far advanced you get your horse, you can always be creative about new and interesting things to do. There's no limit to the amount of communication you can have with your horse. So he got a little bit bothered there and then his feet came off. Jamie doesn't get mad at him, she just smiles. And Jamie will make the right thing easy and the wrong thing difficult, but not the right thing and the wrong thing impossible, or punish the wrong thing. There's no place for punishment in working with a horse. If we forget the idea that a horse can ever be naughty. We can be more judicious with a horse. Horses only respond out of self-defense. For a horse, the right thing is I lived, the wrong thing is I died. So they're not being naughty, they are doing what they think is needed for them to survive. With that attitude, we'll never lose our temper with a horse. There's a great joke by the comedian Lenny Henry. He talks about how when he was a kid, he got in a fight at school, and he got home from school and his mother grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and gave him the beating of a lifetime, shouting, "You mustn't hit people!" That is exactly what people that punish horses for doing the wrong thing are doing. The horse is scared of something, and we start beating them and saying, "You mustn't be scared," when we're showing them that they were 100% right to be scared of these humans. So now Jamie has isolated 3 different scary stimuluses and now plans on combining them. Alamo is not so sure about putting that last foot on there. So if that thing opens up its mouth and swallows me, I just want 1 foot out to be able to get away. There we go. So he's got 2 out of 3 of the scary stimuluses he worked with today. And then Jamie uses communication to back him off as she wanted him to go. Remember, this is a partnership, but the 51% is with us, and we want them to respect that it's on our request where we go. There's a huge sense of relief that you see in horses when they figure out that their human is the leader. The only thing I can equate it to is when Jamie and I decide to treat ourselves to going out for dinner. We normally do the whole Jungle Book vulture thing. Well, what do you want to do? No, what do you want to do? All day, every day, we have to make decisions. And just every now and again you want someone else to put their hand up and say, okay, right, I'm in charge, I'm going to make the decisions, and I'm going to make a good decision. It certainly does show a sense of relief to a horse knowing that they can trust you to make the decisions for a while. I want you to notice that this side is a little more difficult for Alamo. He's great with Jamie on his left, but when she sends him over and she's standing on the right, it's a little more difficult for him just to keep his feet still. So while we might not get it perfect today, that is something that we're going to work on.
Right now I'm doing a desensitizing issue here. I'm kind of desensitizing my future.
So that might be enough for today. He's got 2 feet on with Jamie on his right hand side. He's going to put his head down, investigate the top he's standing on. Everything looks different for a horse through a different eye. Horses learn bilaterally, so they process everything on each side of their body differently because of the way their vision works. A horse does not have 360 vision in each eye. They can see 180 degrees in the one hemisphere of their brain and 180 degrees in the other hemisphere of the brain. So when they learn, they process by individual eyes. And that's all we'll cover today in terms of desensitizing. We'll catch up on further videos in the mastery class.